That's not gone well, has it? The camera seems to not want to play. Bear with me 2 moments and we'll see if we can fix that. But other than that, I look really bored in that image. That is not intentional. That's not what's actually going on. Just bear with me a second while I see if I can fix it. Let's try that. That's gone even worse, which is worrying. Good. Well, it wouldn't be the first stream back if I didn't have some fun and games to deal with. Yeah, proof I'm really an AI. Yes, 100%. That's exactly what's occurring. Will be all right. I will be a talking face for just a second. But I hope you're all doing well. Getting into Citizen Ninja, to Mad Teapot, Monster AV, Jock Cop, Scott Arbuckle, Ray Louderbeck, Shadow Girl, Jammy Bugger, Burger Pops, Wooter. Good to see you all. I will be with you just as soon as I can. I'm kind of hiding, I guess. Let's see if we can get this to play. It wouldn't be the first time we've had fun and games like this, so it's fine. We'll fix it, I am sure. Or maybe we won't. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Oh, I've got a background. I just don't think I've got me in it. Yeah. We're having some fun, aren't we? Oh, dear. Positioning queue 426, please wait, says Mad Teapot. Yeah, it's been one of those days, hasn't it? It's not been a great couple of moments. Apologies for those that are just joining. I can see the numbers spiking. I'm having a bit of an issue with my camera, so just bear with me for a moment. We will be there shortly. I'm just going to point you at the sky a little bit, and then see if I can fix whatever is going on. Because I genuinely don't know what is happening at the minute. So, unfortunately, I was working on an old version of Broadcast. This is upward. But yeah, we'll see if we can fix it. Just bear with me 2 moments. Okay. So let's see now if we can get that to work. Yeah, something's not happy this end, unfortunately. I have no idea what it is. I genuinely don't know. NVIDIA Broadcast has done something very, very strange. The only thing I can think of is that I do that. Hey, so give me just a second. That seems to have worked a bit better. So let's see if I can get that playing now. Do do do. Nope. Hmm. Too many new features badges. Perhaps you should spend the year working on bug fixes. Do you know what? You are not wrong, sir. Unfortunately, I think you are 100% correct. Um, yeah. So that's a little bit interesting. I don't see why it wants to muck around quite like that. Oh, great success. So I think we're there. Fantastic. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's decided to play like that. So I'm going to muck around with it a bit whilst we're talking because it's basically just gone back to defaults, which is a bit frustrating. So come here. No, I said come here. Come here. There you go. That's better. Yeah, excuse the kind of quiff thing that I've got going on. But hopefully now. Ta-da! And then the final bit, because I couldn't get the camera working, so I couldn't see how in the dark I was, is that one. Ta-da! Bright. Oh my god. Right, so yeah, so still not as broken as Star Citizen, which is quite funny. But there you go. Right, so that's that. Oh god. Right, I'm going to anger someone. Someone got really angry at me the last time I did this because I took the headphone part way off and they were like, that's not how you wear headphones. And it's like, it is when you use them for work. But yes, there we go. Oh, and the Zoom things died again, which is really helpful. I guess I didn't click apply on that. There we go. Come back here. Cool. There we go. Now I've clicked apply. So now there is no escape. Yeah, bug workarounds are always nice once they work. Yeah, 100%. So, again, apologies. We are, 10 minutes late. So, after all that, I think that I deserve one of these. Back on the Stouffer Press, if you're watching. Don't know why you would, but if you are, sponsor me. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, Jag, I find that bit dishonest. I don't have. Jag says, liked your dig at a YouTuber who puts his SC referral code in every video despite bashing CIG every chance he gets. I'm not talking about who that is, and please don't try and name them in chat, but because there are a couple of them, to be fair, I find it incredibly dishonest that if you think CIG are that bad, why the hell would you refer a bunch of strangers into the game? What? First off, why would you use your referral code? If you think the game's crap, you shouldn't be referring it to anyone because it doesn't matter what benefits it gives you. And the second one is I think it's dishonest to mislead people. If you think it's that crap, why on earth would you recommend people to do it or refer people onto it? That doesn't make sense. Apteryx, good evening, bud. And good evening to Can and Jag, if I didn't say that. Yeah, good evening all. Straight into the questions, says Apteryx. With the shift from features to content in mind, what do you now think about a Nyx release this year? I think 0. Unfortunately. So, I suppose we can get into this quite quickly, right? Because one of the things that was really interesting is I put a video out on Friday about this very thing. And it seems to have angered a lot of people. One of the things that people took from it, or a couple of people took from it, was that I seem to be blaming gamers. I seem to be blaming the Star Citizen community for what was going on. That wasn't what was happening. And also it just seemed to anger people, the idea that new features are required, need to go in, whatever it is. I think 2 things on that. The first one, good evening, Chris, good to see you. I think the first one is that this is like a scale, right? And this is kind of a zero-sum game to an extent. Is that the more you have of one, the less you have of the other. The more time people spend bug fixing, the less time they have to implement new features. And they said that, CIG said that themselves at the beginning of their video. So I don't feel like right there I'm saying anything that CIG haven't fully said themselves, right? The second part of this is that stability is only fleeting in a game that's being built. Now, people can say what they like about how long it's been in development. The fact is, we are still waiting on so much. You know, we're waiting on docking and AI behaviors and the whole economy thing, and we're waiting on, you know, gameplay loops and ship armor and there's just so much. You've only got to go and look at that big profession guild slide that they did and look at all the gameplay loops that they said they were going to come and how many we have, which is very few. Like, it's not a huge, we don't have a huge amount of the game implemented. The problem with stability is great as long as people recognize that it's going to get broken again. And this is the problem with, you know, with the games that we play that are released, things like Cyberpunk that should never have been released in the state that it was, No Man's Sky that never should have been released in the state that it was. Those fixes, you expect those fixes to come in and stay put because the game is released, right? All that stuff is in and ready to go. With this game, that's not where we are. So my worry is that people are going to go, oh, I want stability, and then get it. And then they're going to get really upset when something new comes in and it breaks something that was previously fixed. Because that is what is going to happen. And we saw it in the comments in my video, there was comments in the live stream, there's been comments in the video since CIG put it up, about as long as the stability sticks and it doesn't break again. Well, it is going to break again. And if it doesn't, that's great. But the assumption should be that everything is going to break again at some point when they bring things in. When new things come in, when docking comes in, it may well break the room system, and all of a sudden we find that rooms that should have atmosphere don't have atmosphere. And that could have been a bug when they first brought the room system in, and so on and so forth, right? We've all been in stations where we've just walked into the ASOP area, and all of a sudden we start suffocating. It's like, what? Because there's a pocket somewhere in the station that has no atmosphere. For some reason. So we've all seen that happen. And I think that's the problem, is that, you know, the stability is going to be great. I've come around to that way of thinking. My worry is that loads of people, anytime anything takes a step backward in stability, anytime anything feels like it's broken again, people are going to be like, no, it's one step forward and two steps back. And, we're straight back to square one. Yes, that's what this stage of the game development is like. And right now, especially for people who are not as old as I am, and not as old as a couple of people in this chat right now, the problem there is that they don't remember getting hold of games really, really early, right? And all the games, even the games that we do get hold of really, really early, are in a much better state than this one. So if you look at DayZ, right? DayZ built on an engine. When the DayZ standalone came out, it was built on an engine that already existed. It wasn't building its own engine. You know, most games at this stage, at this % of completion, don't see the light of day, and devs don't care if the transit system doesn't work when they're testing stuff, because they tested it 18 months ago and it worked, and then they just teleport around. When devs are testing stuff, unless they're testing the transit stuff, they'll just put themselves wherever they need to put themselves to test the thing that they're testing. And then when they start getting all these features in, then they go, right, that's not working anymore, why? Right? So I agree 100% with all the comments that have been made about we need stability so we can do stuff. 100%. A game that is with the consumer, with the gamers, right? With the players, whatever phrase you want to use, that does need stability. I agree 100%. We just need to recognize that it's not quite there yet. In terms of, they are going to break stuff because they're going to put something new in. Missions are going to get, they're going to get the balance, I'm sure, right? Even if they get the balance perfect right now of pricing, of mission rewards, of ship prices, if they get that balance, honestly, like, sweet. Completely and utter perfection. The minute they put the dynamic economy system in that's reacting to Quanta and everything else that we've seen, broken. It's gonna happen. It's going to break and be awful again. And if that's what's going to put people off, then people probably either need to take a break or just accept the fact that, hey, stability is going to be great. Overall, things are going to improve, and they are going to improve. But it's just that recognizing that things are going to get bad. So the only point that I was making really with that video, focus on features, stability stuffers. Focus on stability, new features get slower, but also stability is not going to be a permanent thing. So that. So a couple of other people joined us. Good evening to Luna Maria. Good to see you. Kathy, good to see you as well. Randy, the Salmon Moose Morris. What a name. Fantastic. 57. Cheers. And congrats. Yeah. So yes, so I think that's kind of the point there is yeah. So Kathy Zevo says put it in the PTU. Judomo's in as well. Good evening, Judomo. Stack. I don't know if I said hello, but if I haven't, hello. So yeah, and Tech Tier Zero as well. Good to see you all. Yeah, it's really interesting here because the thing is what I tried to make out in the video is it's no one's wrong, right? Look at how long in development we've been, and look at how many features that we have and how many we have yet to go, right? And then what you do is you go, okay, it's been 12 years in development, we have this many features, therefore we have this many features remaining, divide one by the other. That tells you when we're going to finish, and that is going to be a terrifying number. I probably won't be here at that rate, right? When it finally makes it to what we would consider as feature complete, right? So there's that. That's the first part that I want to say. The other part that I want to say there is basically, you know, that even if they focus on the features, that's fine, but then you acknowledge that stability is going to be rough and things that should work aren't working, and that there are things that haven't been addressed in a long old time. The flip side, like we said with stability, is I've kind of already covered that, right? Is that things are going to break again. This is what's going to happen. Stability doesn't mean they fix it and it stays fixed. Stability means they fix it for the time being. It also means that they may well have to put effort into systems that they know are going to get replaced 3 or 4 years down the line. But they need to do it now to increase the stability, you know, and the playability of the game. That means that they will be spending time now on stuff that they know is going to get replaced completely. That is completely pointless. Right? Which, if you listen to certain other YouTubers when they talk about this and listen to certain other news outlets and all that sort of stuff, that's mismanagement. Putting a bunch of effort into something you know you're going to replace is mismanagement, right? It's like spending ages. I don't know. I tend to use like simple stuff around the house. I don't know. It's like spending ages repairing a piece of clothing when you know tomorrow you're going to go out and buy something to replace it with anyway. That's like you could use that time for something else completely. So that's kind of the point that I'm getting at, right? So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to say on that. But yeah, the stuff we reported went into PTU and live, says Kathy. That's the problem. You're all wrong. The answer is clearly 42, says Shadow Girl. Jag says, when I see the people clamoring for stability, most of the ones claiming that CRG is simply full of it. Anyway, yeah, and I think this is what I think this is what I say to a lot of people, right? Is just because you stand in one camp or the other, it doesn't mean that you have to keep that, and it doesn't mean that you can't actually have a foot in both camps, right? People can think about it what they think about it. I was for a very long time of the, well, features, because stability is fleeting. The minute you start introducing more core stuff, that's the problem. You'll break things. But I also, if you're ever in the Discord with me, you'll hear me rant and rave about how awful the stability is when it goes wrong. And that doesn't mean, just because I want one, doesn't mean I have to, you know, not get annoyed at the other. It's just about accepting it. What I do is I get annoyed about it and I rant and I rave and I swear and I go and play something else and, you know, whatever else. That happens. What I don't do is then try to make some sweeping statement about, oh my god, CIG are going down the toilet, they're just in here to sell ships and blah, 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 right? There's a line, and that's kind of, right? It's like, okay, there's definitely evidence of stability being fleeting or whatever. I'm not entirely sure it's evidence of CIG have given up or don't care, because everything they're doing indicate they care, right? Whether people want to agree with that or not, that's kind of where I am. So, yeah. Woot is drinking his whiskey. I'm glad to see that. Good to see Wesley McFarlane. Good to see you in. Diz Troy as well. Good to see you all. Some new names as well. So I'm pleased that you guys are here. But might feel stupid for saying so, but instead of the City Evo and PTU, just do everything on live. It's an alpha, it's approach to break. Yeah, and I think Wooter, I understand that point of view, but that's obviously what CIG have said they're moving away from. Evo Carty do some sterling work. I've seen some of the stuff that they deal with, and I've certainly listened to the issues that they have. They deal with an awful lot of stuff. The other thing is that Evo Carty tend to focus test, right? All that happens with a lot of the PTU is people will get PTU and they will do either whatever new shiny they want, normally a ship, or they'll do whatever they were doing before in the new build, which doesn't necessarily help CIG out unless what they want is a stress test, right? And even then, I think you yourself said, like, the stress test numbers aren't, it's not there. You know, they said very, very early on that what they do is that they, you know, they'll see people, players log into PTU for an hour or two to see their new ship, to test the new thing, whatever it is, or to do something, and then they go back to live. I mean, possibly not now because of the state of live, but there's that. So, yeah. Not really an alpha as a little PTU, so I was getting daily patches like PTU. They tend to find issues way faster. 318 is one of the reasons I say that. Yeah, and I think, again, this is one of those 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Right? There's two sides to this. Evo Carty and the PTU early waves do their job in identifying stuff that doesn't work at any scale of the players, right? And they do a lot of shielding live and the later PTU stages from an utter mess of a game. Worse than it is that what we experience now. But also, as you say with 318, there are a number of players they need to get on to stress test those servers, which will show up issues that aren't shown in Evo Carty and PTU. And you know, both have their places, and I think I'm, you know, pleased that they test it kind of like that. I think this whole year of stability fixes sounds more like a year of buying time, playing for time. In what way do you mean, Diz? I'm not sure. Buying time to achieve what or to do what? So yeah, do you think they'll ramp up ship production somehow? I doubt it, because ships are, I guess, new features. They're certainly not stability, performance, or whatever the other one was that they said. I'm guilty of using PTU to look at the new shiny. Socially, good evening, first of all. Yes, aren't we all? 100%. I haven't really seen any other game on the alpha isn't a literal PTU itself since I said what I said. I understand Evo isn't bad. It's just a personal grudge I have for putting a paywall in. I mean, again, Evo is not a paywall, right? Evo is if you put enough stuff into the issue council, if it's of good quality and it's backed up by like video and picture evidence that they can go and replicate the bug that you're talking about as regularly as you can replicate, you know, reliably replicate bugs, you'll get into Evo. It's as simple as that. Wave 1, I kind of get the Wave 1 thing, is like, for most of us, there's always going to be a group of people that play more, so you don't really get into the Wave 1 based on playtime unless this is all you play, and you don't have a job, basically, because there are a bunch of people, this is all they play, and they don't have jobs. So if you do, you're just not going to play as much as them, full stop, the end. So I understand that bit, but, you know, yeah. This game is a social experiment to see how many ships Algred will forget he has, says Matthew. Yeah, if you don't understand where that's coming from, that's a fantastic story that we had. We were looking at Algred's fleet, Execute Algred and I and a bunch of others, And we had to remind him that he did in fact have 3 javelins, not 2, or 2 javelins, not 1. I can't remember how many it was, but he forgot an entire javelin. Like for normal mere mortals like you and I, a javelin would be the absolute centerpiece of a fleet. Not for him. Oh, dude. Mate, thank you very much for the super chat. RN1441, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Given the 2018 statement by Chris that they would have focused on stability in 2019, what confidence level do you have that they actually mean it this time? Do you know what? That is absolutely the elephant in the room, isn't it? Yeah. So for those that don't know, this was said back in 2018 by Chris that they were going to focus more on stability. And obviously, because most of us have been around it for the game at some point in the last 6 years, if not, excuse me, if not all of it, yeah. Everything that they've said this year makes me think that that's where they're going. Then when you look at that in the context of what they were talking about at the Stars My Destination presentation in CitizenCon, which you can go and watch all the videos there, they started talking about 1.0 reliability, patches being of a higher standard. Also, the fact that, as I said in the video, there is no 4.1 card at all on the roadmap. The next one is 1. And now I'm not saying that the next patch is going to be 1.0. What I am saying is that they have stopped even telling us about new content right now, and we are almost halfway through February. Right? So it's always a worry, mate. It's always a worry that you are going to that they're going to say something and go back on it. God knows that there are lots of examples of that happening anyway. However, I think I'm about as confident as I can be at this stage. If it doesn't happen, I think we're all kind of a little bit concerned that it doesn't. Right? I won't say that I wouldn't be surprised. I would be. I'd be disappointed if they didn't go this route now, having made so much about it. But I tell you why I think this is more likely than the 2018 one. We've got 2026 now as the hard release date for Squadron. And I think the big thing there is that, Squadron is going to attract a lot of people who don't know about the project. Those people are going to get pulled into Star Citizen, so they're going to play Squadron. I'm sure they're going to love it if that gameplay demo is anything to go by. People are going to really enjoy that game. They're then going to find out there's this massively multiplayer game where you can do and be whatever you want in a huge universe that's only going to get bigger, and they're going to be like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, and they are going to load into Star Citizen as it is right now, and they're going to be like, excuse my language, what the fuck is this? Right? This spending at least until the Squadron 42 element works, is out to make this work, and at least make it so that everything functions and elevators aren't disappearing and you're not staring through the floor and you're not falling through the floor and missions don't fail and you don't explode randomly. You can actually call your ship up when you need to. You're not hearing everyone else in your own hangar. All of the crap. You're not sitting in, as someone said, a 420 person queue on a Saturday only to have a server error when it's your turn to get in to be booted to the back of the queue again. Like, all of those things, I think if they fix that, what people are going to experience when they come across from Squadron is they're going to experience a game that speaks about promise without so many of the bugs that we have. And then I think it's much easier if it's a smooth experience, and then what they're finding is like, hey, that isn't in yet, like, we've only just got resource networking or whatever, we've only just got engineering or whatever, and it's only the basic bits, and we don't have that bit yet, and, like, the whole salvage, component salvage out of ships. unless it's a player ship. You're not getting that sort of stuff. We're not getting the tank siphoning. We're not getting the whatever. Is a very long way of saying, if they don't do it now, I don't see them ever like committing to actually achieving what they said they're going to achieve. Right? They've made a big old go of saying this is what they're going to do, and I think I would certainly start to question what I'm doing here if they don't at least have a good old stab at stability. You know. So yeah, mate, thank you again for the second super chat. I really appreciate it. Honestly, you know, I try to respond to everyone, so it's really appreciated you doing that, buddy. Just know you don't need to. I will try and respond to almost everything in chat if I can. As long as it's reasonable stuff, I will. But mate, it's really appreciated. Thank you, RN1441. Thank you, buddy. So yeah, try out the No Man's Sky model, release the patch notes and the patch the same day and have it all work. Yeah, something like a release product socially would be used, wouldn't it? Community will complain no matter what, says Burger Pops. I think I don't want to do the community a disservice. I don't think. Yes, I think there are people that disguise themselves as community who are, no matter what happens, they're going to have a go and they're going to have a whinge and they're going to complain about it and that sort of stuff. I think these are the people who haven't picked up the game in ages. I think what's happening right now is those people that are inspection who have played the game are complaining have every reason to be bitching about it right now. The game is it's a dumpster fire, right? To me, I know people will get upset at me by saying this, but to me, this is worse than 318. Because 318 we just couldn't get in, and I couldn't get in. I'm one of the players that couldn't get in, right? I just couldn't do it, and it is what it is. What I had after 318 was just like this feeling of, oh well, okay, I couldn't play it for a couple of months, but now at least it's better. This now I'm gonna have, I think, flashbacks every time I get into an elevator, more so than even before. Walking into the interiors of some of the buildings in the outposts on Pyro, I'm just going to be waiting to fall through the floor, and I think that's kind of that for me is the problem, right? That's the issue, is that everyone now, because they've been able to play it some time, or at least get in, and then experience this wealth of bugs, I think people are going to have a worse experience of this than 318, which is a shame, because of course I don't want to be saying that. But yeah, but yeah, so yeah, so yeah, and RM141 makes a good point. As someone's been in from day one, my point is that if the pattern recognition part of the brain works, we should implicitly believe nothing CIG says. I think it's trust but verify, right? You know, I remember very early on, as I'm sure you do, RN, really early on, that this was vaporware, right? That was what, this is vaporware, this is vaporware, this is vaporware. Gradually now that's disappeared, right? This isn't vaporware. There's something there. It's buggy, it's broken, and it's incredibly frustrating sometimes, but it's there. This isn't something that was talked about and never delivered, right? That's not what vaporware is. This is not the definition of vaporware. But yes, we've heard, as you put in your chat, all of this and more next year. Didn't happen. 2018, focusing on stability. Didn't happen. Beginning of this year, 4.0, resource networking, engineering, and everything else in that patch. Didn't happen. I think it's a case of trust but verify, and when they don't deliver, it's up to every individual at all times to decide, am I, if you don't trust it, at the very minimum, don't put any more money in. And like I say, I'm very careful, but I feel like that's not even advice, right? That's just common sense. If you don't trust a project, don't give it any money, right? Because otherwise it does become the sunk cost fallacy. Well, I've already put X amount of dollars into this, so what's some more? No, stop. So yeah. Chris says, I must really be out of touch. I've been away for 2 months back home in Finland to enjoy my winter vacation. Hope you had a good one, buddy. While I know 4.0 released while I was gone, is it another 3.18 again? So people can access 3.18, 4.0, Chris. So it's not like 3.18 in that regard. However, it is buggy, broken, and an absolute slog. More so, I would say, quite comfortably, than any other patch I've experienced. It's um um I'm hoping now. I can only hope now that I have you guys. Um, I don't know. I'm at a loss, guys. Yeah, I'm knocked, frankly. Uh, and I've just oh, I have sound. We have sound. Does that mean that I also have visual? Let's find out. Guys, let me know if you have sound or not. Hey, so let's have a look. Let's well, whatever. You know, I just we seem to be getting back to where we should be a little bit. And video. Well, great, I think. So I've literally pulled everything out and started again. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Who said another beer? Who said another beer? Because you win. It's cider, but you do win, waiter. Guys, I can only apologise. Literally had fibre put in, so this has been funny with me all day. I was trying to play Baldur's Gate 3 with Shadow Girl earlier, and I've literally just run around the house, pulled wires out of everything, and put wires back into everything. So if it doesn't work, honestly, I don't know what to say. All I can say is sorry. It was a shame. We were up to a decent amount of people. Hopefully, they find it in themselves to come back and say hi. That would be nice. But I completely understand if I don't. So if they don't, so yes. So thank you to everyone who is still here. I really appreciate it. And I understand why the other people went. So if you're watching this back, that was just a pain in the ass, and I have no clue why that happened, like at all. I think I'm all off in my alignment with the frame and stuff. I don't know. I'm looking at the image that you guys are seeing, and then I'm looking at the image that I've set up on OBS, and they're not the same thing. So I think this is an OBS problem. Yeah. I'm watching. I'm about 5 seconds ahead of seeing you guys, and I've just watched my screen go in and out, and this is not what should happen. So let's see if I can just make that happen like that. So hopefully, oh God, I don't know. Sometimes I give up with this. I really, really do. But yeah, that was fun. Let's great. So yeah, again, sorry about that. I'm going to go back up to where we were after Chris's question completely broke the stream. I was watching your comments, which is why it's not an internet problem. Your comments were going quite fun, and that was really quite funny. But yes, unfortunately, I can't go back up much further because I restarted everything. So yeah, if you've got questions, then bring them back in, pop them in, and we'll go from there. There's just lots of people going. So yeah. Watching, expecting a message from Chris Robertson. Is Goon Squad to pop up now? Says Mornstar. Hello, buddy. By the way, hello to Marlax101. Yes, that's what it was. It was a server swap. That's all that was happening. But yes, we're going to get there. We're going to get there in the end. So yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Unless the Direction is releasing an actual game, I don't care. I mean that's so Black Sheep. I kind of get what you're saying if you're still here, but the question is how how they get there, and that was the whole conversation in that video. So yeah, that's that. So yes, I'm frantically now going through pages and pages and pages of chat, trying to catch up with what you've all been saying in my absence. Chris, no, you're all good, my friend. You're all good. And like I say, thank you very much for bearing with me. I genuinely considered just launching my screen out of the window at one point. I was just like, no, don't want to play this game anymore. I'm just going to bed. But it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so that's that. So hopefully that's it fixed, because I'm looking at the bitrate. It seems fine. Everything else was going all right. Like everything on the internet was working. All my other pages in the background were great. It's just OBS, so I'm going to figure out what that is. Probably uninstall, reinstall it, because that was pants. The real session is tea or coffee. Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon. Monster. Although it is a cup of tea with breakfast. Massively recommend Twining's English breakfast tea. That stuff is lovely. If a little bit expensive, but well worth the money. So that's good. Tell me please you didn't update OBS. I heard the update had been broken for a while. No, unfortunately, Wooter, as part of all this, I've put the new NVMe in, so you can also taking the mick out of me now. I've upgraded to fiber, so it's a brand new install. So I've installed whatever the current version of OBS is, 31.0.1. So yeah, which sounds like a Star Citizen patch, right? But that's that. Yeah, so I've completely lost where we were talking and all that sort of stuff. Chris, risking sudden death here. What was your question? Just remind me, and then if everyone else can remember the questions they had, just like pop them in as well. But yeah, coffee unless I'm dunking biscuits, says Amidships. Nice. Morning, afternoon tea, midday coffee, says Marlax. Nice. Well, so one of the things that I have been doing recently is drinking, I say recently, for a while, is drinking an awful lot of diet soft drinks, right? So Diet Coke, that sort of stuff, Coke Zero. And be careful, because while the sugar won't get you, the caffeine will, as I discovered. So, yeah, when you decide to be healthy and stop doing that and only have a couple of drinks with people on stream on a Sunday, you get headaches and grouchiness and all sorts of nasty. It's not good. But yeah. I'm finished, says Chris. I inject my coffee directly into my veins. Well, don't do anything. I'm saying that now. YouTube's going to be like, demonetize me, but it's fine, whatever. But yes. So yeah. Loose leaf Darjeeling. I've not tried it, Mad Teapot, but yes. That's that. Luna Ray says, I'm Japanese with a Chinese mother. Can say the same about tea. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Yeah. So, anyway, going back to the whole Star Citizen thing, I think, again, Chris, I honestly can't remember what it was that you asked now because I got so narked about what was going on. But the last bit that I saw up there is um, contemplation pose to concern face to surprise face to resigned face as Citizen Ninja. And you're not wrong. So yeah, we think. Damn it, he's back, says Jock. Well, that's just rude. But yes, so I always find it interesting because when you put up videos like that talking about what Star Citizen are doing, what you end up with is um, a lot of angry responses and people that assume that you're saying something that you're not. So that's kind of that. Upteric says, follow on from my question earlier, and Nick's release. CIG stated that they'll need to keep content flowing to keep people interested and be able to mark the game throughout the year. What content do you expect to see in this regard through the year? So it seems a lot like they're talking about the narrative stuff. So the stuff that we're seeing now, the fight for Pyro, stuff that keeps people coming back, obviously for an MMO. Missions like that with unique rewards, kind of capitalize on the FOMO stuff. Keep playing, otherwise you won't be able to get that reward, as people are finding out now. So there's a reward for Pyro, but if you haven't done the Save Stanton stuff, there's also the reward that you can't get, which I believe is the pistol, the gun, the machine gun thing, or the submachine gun. So yeah, there are bits that I think it's going to be a lot of that. Obviously, we'll see revisits of the dynamic events once the netcode stabilized. So we'll see yet again, blockade runner and Xeno threat and all of that sort of stuff. Although, how Xeno threat works now, don't know. Because wouldn't we just be able to stop them at the jump gate? Wouldn't that be where the fight happens now? I don't know. We'll see. But yes, I suppose it still makes sense that you go to help the ships that are being attacked, and then you find out that it's Xeno threat, and then they're already in the system. And then it's all, but yeah. So yeah, I think that's going to be more of what we see in terms of the content. I think they're still going to bring things in. I'm hoping they were close enough to the resource network and engineering gameplay that once everything else is stabilized, they're able to bring that in fairly short order. One of the things that I found really interesting that they said in that video is the whole that they said our performance is not necessarily everyone, and then Benoit pushed back on that and said actually performance is for everyone. Every department has a responsibility to make sure that what they're creating doesn't go over the budget that they've been set for draw calls, memory, whatever else it is. So he says actually there is an element of everyone being involved, and that's certainly going to be the case in the stability as well. How different, even things like it may be that there's something to do with how things render or how they do the draw calls that are required to sort out server meshing, which means art needs to, the art teams need to go back to the drawing board on certain things. So I think it is the big stuff. I would just wait now. We were talking about things like hacking after resource networks and all that sort of stuff. And I think all that is now shunted. I think I'd be happy if we see resource networks by the end of the year, but I'm not sure. I think it's going to depend on how quickly. What I did find really, how quickly they get stuff out. And on that note, what's really interesting is them talking about patches quicker because they're not having to put the new content in. It's right, we can stabilize this amount, let's get a patch out. And they're talking about basically 10 per year, which is tantamount to one a month with a gap for Christmas and then maybe a gap somewhere else in the year. So yeah, it's going to be that, I think. Hello to everyone I haven't said hello to. Hello to Amidships. Hello to Dark Matter. If I haven't said hello to Shady Phase and everyone else. Sorry, I'm completely thrown now and off my stride. But there's that. Oh yes, that's right. You were talking about whether or not 4.0 was that much of a dumpster fire, Chris. You're right. That's exactly where we were. Yeah. Wooter says, I'm the weirdo here. I guess neither tea nor coffee. I just drink a small glass of orange juice in the morning, nice, and water all day, and the glab of lemonade on the weekend and some whiskey. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Yeah, Yeah, that's kind of my bugbear. It's like I don't tend to drink alcohol that much. Sometimes I'll drink it on Fridays with the guys in Discord playing Friday Night Ops. So we just play whatever comes to mind on Star Citizen. This Friday was a bit rough, as you can imagine, but we got a few things done. And then, I have a drink or two on stream with you sometimes, but that's kind of about it. Blamsmith, good evening. Catalyst Destiny, hello, good to see you. Yeah, so that. Just going to catch up now with everything else that's been talked about. They can focus on narrative after they establish player ownership in the base game. Yeah, I mean, they're going to push ahead with these narrative events they talked about. And I'm kind of hoping the exciting side of that is that they can deliver things in a more engaging and a more natural way than pulling up your Moby Glass and doing all that sort of stuff. I'm hoping things will flow a lot more, will feel a lot more natural and just come as part of the mission rather than, Moby Glass stuff popping up and just some little kind of, objective sat at the top of the screen here saying what you need to do next. Hopefully it's a little bit more intuitive than that, but we'll see. That raises the real question, where are the hot drinks in our ships? Do you know what? I'm not even starting down that road. The 302s and the House Narcourt hubs are the only ones that have discovered this futuristic tech. Yes, hot drinks are the... It worries me that it's Houston and Artcorp, though. You'd think if anyone's going to innovate hot drinks, it would be Babbage and Orison, right? Especially all the lattes that must be at Drunken Orison with all the hippies. But yeah. That's that. So, I wonder how good Invictus will be with a free fly after a crew months of quality of life fixes. Well, this is what we hope. And I think this is what annoys me sometimes about the people who just feel the need all the time to take a swing at Star Citizen. It's like, oh, they just do everything for money. And then, oh my God, things are so bad. They've cancelled the free fly. And it's like, well, just, what do you want them to do? Is it so bad that, like, they're just doing it for money? Or is it so bad that they cancel it and don't get the potential money from new players of free fly because the experience is so bad? Like, what? You at some point you've got to like pin your colours to the mast somewhere. But yeah, bless them. Yeah, I think cancelling the free fly was the best thing they could have done. This would have been abysmal with a free fly. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So I really wish they would expand on Xenothreat. It's one of the first game modes. Excuse me. It incorporates a load of professions and will incorporate even more later. Yeah, and I think all of them hopefully will come to that element, right? Is that you'll be able to, even with things like Siege, using the resource network, being able to cut power to certain things, maybe take out the turrets another way by taking out the radar. That sort of stuff would be really good. And that's what I like about them building these systems that go into the game, like resource networks, because it gives you a predictable way to go in and get stuff. It's like anything else. Like, right, if I blow up the fuel to this thing and remove the fuel, it can't do anything. And yet in other games, they're not built like that because that's not how that works, right? Because where they've got fuel in a mission, it's built specifically for that mission, and it's reliant on you blowing something up or pressing that button. And once you've done that, that's it. It's not kind of included systematically throughout the entire game. And that's a bit of a problem. But we're all good, and we're all, I think that's the nice thing about them building these systems that do take a huge amount more time, obviously, but once they're in, they'll be useful. Hopefully, welcome back to everyone that's come back. We fixed the problem. Don't know what it was. I'll figure it out later. But yeah, it'll be. It's good to see people back. So yeah, CitizenCon. Yeah, CitizenCon is a gap as well for the other month they don't release a patch. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what comes at SitCon, because if they're focusing on stability, like, I don't think anyone wants to go to SitCon to just see a bunch of quality of life improvements. It'll be interesting to see whether they can it this year. I wouldn't see that as a problem. Even against the backdrop of everyone trying to make out that there's huge financial difficulty and all that sort of stuff. I think, if they don't have anything to say, don't get people's hopes up of you saying good things by travelling to wherever, spending a huge amount of money to get there and back, and stay there to tell them to reel off a bunch of quality of life fixes that could be in patch notes. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see. Callus Destiny says the 100% problem with these events, the fear of missing out bait events in a broken game. In no way, shape, or form should any of these recent events be timed or limited. They should have no time limit access. Yeah, I guess that. I think. Let me have a think about that for a second. I think for a lot of it, it depends what side of it you're on, right? I 100% agree with the whole idea that people shouldn't miss out on stuff for things not within their control. So they shouldn't miss out on it because the servers wouldn't let them in, and then they couldn't spawn their ships. And when they did, the mission wouldn't register correctly, and they got booted for this, that, and the other thing. Right? I 100% agree with you. I think in terms of the FOMO stuff, it depends on what side you're on. Right? Go back to the F8C debate. Right? Those that didn't have it were happy to be able to buy the ship. Those that did have it were whinging that only they were supposed to have it. And that's the other side of it. I think having things for us that when we are going through this sort of stuff, to get to the game and people go, where did you get that from? Like, that skin's crazy, or that gun's really interesting. You got it for playing an event back in 2024, 2025. That I don't have a problem with, but I agree with you. Maybe one of the things they do here is they give some sort of reward, and they say, hey, look, the rewards that we said were there for only completing whatever, everyone who played during that time, everyone who logged playtime is getting one. And we've created this extra thing, so if you've completed it, you're getting that. But everyone got what you were playing for, regardless of whether or not you completed it, because we recognise that the problems are on our end. I think things like that from CIG would be very much appreciated, and I don't see that as a problem. I think, like I said, with a lot of these things, it's what people's view of it. There's always a way to look at something and interpret it poorly. So let's say there are no time limited stuff. Let's say that you can't get to release when everyone, all the mainstream guys jump in. You can't get anything that they can't get. You don't have anything to show for this, because whether you go, well, hang on, no, they can release something for people who had it. That's FOMO. That's forcing people to buy before the game's ready. So I think it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's always a way to poorly interpret stuff, but I think from CIG's point of view, the servers are in such a state that I think anyone that whinges about everyone getting the items who's logged playtime this year, getting everything, and then going, hey, and if you completed everything, we're going to give you like a little bit of hangar flair, something to keep in the hangar, or a suit of armor from your chosen thing, or we're going to give you all of the skins rather than just one, because we recognize that while we wanted this to be individual and part of the story, we also recognize the servers were shit, and you should have, we want to make up to that, make it up to you, and say an extra thanks for sticking with it as long as you needed to think. I think that sort of thing is not a problem. Sam Larry, good evening, good to see you, my friend. So yeah, CIG is going to take a hit financially on this. What makes you say that, Shady? Dark Rider says, when we get freeze-dried packets of single malt whiskey and dehydrated pizza like in Alien Resurrection and Back to the Future 2. No, those words should never be in a sentence. Those words should never be co-located in a sentence, ever. But yeah. Some people will look for any excuse. SC has its problems, some of them big, but watching people pivot on a problem just to slate the project, really obvious. Yeah, 100%. And I think someone spoke earlier about, it was you, wasn't it, RN1441. You said about, because of pattern recognition, we should distrust everything they said. But I think if they said something bad, let's say they were going to microtransaction more up the yin yang, or you know, they were going to do a season pass for Star Citizen, I think those people that were negative wouldn't go, well, you know, let's see, because they've not delivered on a lot of stuff. They'd be like, oh, this is awful. So you've kind of got to, I think, the rough with the smooth, just as a midship says. I remember Chris describing a drinks making profession for stewards on a passenger ship back in the day. Yeah, they talked about like repairing in-flight entertainment and stuff, didn't they, for like the Starliner Genesis and stuff. Yeah, not sure. People forget they have 4 or 5 years of record profits, so a bad year will really destroy Star Citizen. Yeah, exactly that. Hey Reagan from West Indies, mate. Of all the places I wanted to get deployed on my warship, that was it. Back when I was in the Royal Navy, didn't happen. But greetings. Hope you are loving life out there, my friend. I hope the stability will come fast and all of it will be like a bad dream. We can only hope, Reagan. We can only hope. There's a very in-depth conversation about the level of caffeine in tea and coffee going on. Respect it, Luna Maria. Nice, like it. But yes, yeah, I was told a while back that black tea, if you drink your tea without milk and stuff, can have a huge level of caffeine in it. Yeah, the only thing is snorting tea leaves is bad. But you can snort coffee beans or ground up coffee if you really, really want to. Don't do that. Do not do that. I'm going to demonetize myself so badly. But yeah, don't do that. What you can do, right, and this is genuine, you can go and buy these if you want to, is you can buy chocolate-covered coffee beans as a snack. We used to have them when we were at something called Basic Operational Sea Training, or Deployment Operational Sea Training, in the Navy, because you were exhausted. By week 4 of 6, you were just a zombie, right? You were dead on your feet. And they are individually wrapped because they are incredibly, incredibly potent. And you just have one. You would, if you had a handful, you'd be bouncing off the wall for hours. But yes, they're good fun. I think you can buy them in Cafe Nero. You buy individually wrapped chocolate-covered coffee beans. Just do yourself a favour, have one, give it half an hour, see how you feel before you have a mouthful of them. So yeah. But yeah. Marlex 101 sounds gone. Hopefully that's not. Matthew says sounds fine for me. Good. Okay. That's probably the part of the current need for focus on stability. It's kind of a problem when it's an alpha. You can't take part in the event. Yeah. And you know, like the one thing I really get upset about is people not being able to do stuff in a game where they should be able to do stuff. And I'm not talking about like completing stuff or stuff around a skill issue, but being blocked from a game for something that isn't their fault. And the Helldivers 2 debacle was a really big thing of this. They sold it to people all over the world and then suddenly went, oh, now you can only play it if PSN's a thing in your country. And that's like 70-something countries out of 180. That's just ass, right? That doesn't get to play. It's the same thing with here. You know, I really want that thing. It looks great and I want it, but I can't get it. Not because I'm crap at the missions or I can't play the game or whatever. I can't do it because I get disconnected. I can't get in. I can't get my ship out of the hangar. That's not good. That's not a good experience at all. So yeah. So Jodomo says, I wouldn't agree with... oh, sorry, Matthew said, at this state of the game, I'd be happy with the time exclusives. You can't earn it for a year, but after 1 year, then we will redo the events. Yeah, I mean, I think they've been very hard over that they're not redoing it, but I can certainly see the appeal in doing something like that. Yeah. Normally I wouldn't agree with you, but seeing as it's taken me 3 days to successfully deliver 4 boxes, I think you might have a point, says Jadamba. Well, thanks. I'm glad you think I might have a point. But yeah, that's it. It's just, you know, people not getting the chance to do stuff. I've covered it enough. Are new ships considered new features? Will they come out like usual? They are their principal source of incomes. Ray gun, I think so. I think we're still going to see new ships and stuff. We kind of have to, right? At least until the release of Squadron 42. If Squadron 42 sells as well as I think it's going to, I hope it's going to, I think they'll be all right. I don't think that's going to stop them releasing ships, though. They're a company, after all, right? Yes, they're making a game, but why are they making the game? Chris Roberts wants to. but he's also got to live, right? And everyone in that company's got to live. And they're talking about now having 1,000 employees. So, yeah. Amidships, I'm not answering that. So Raygun, Chatler's Destiny says only new feature ships coming out are going to be the base building ships, but that's been pushed with a new approach strategy. Yeah, I mean, there's still the thing is the question, I guess, is how many ships, how much do ships contribute to instability? Is the instability with the ship like not being able to get into your seat? Is that a function of the ship team, or is that a function of the servers? If they can't get into, for example, if it's, I don't know, the power problem that they've had where all of a sudden, like, the power system just decides to shut down. I don't think that's the ship design teams and the ship implementation teams. That's the gameplay team built around that, the ship gameplay. So I think we'll probably still see ships. Like we said, it's their funding model. It's the only way they make money. So we might... you'll be at negative monetization, says Tech Tier Zero. Do you know what? I fully expect to be at negative monetization at some point. I'm going to be owing them money. But yeah, I think the other way they might get around it is they might start doing pre-sales of Squadron 42. Is the only other thing I can think of. Here's an interesting thing. Do you know what? I might put this up as a poll. This might be good fun. Let's type this, and I might actually, if you're lucky, I might finish this one before I finish the stream, unlike the last one I did. So I'm just going to move my microphone a second because it's in the front of the desk. Let's have a look. Just talk amongst yourselves briefly. Let's put that one up. Let's see. Kill that. Paul. Would you be interested in a physical, limited edition copy of Squadron 42? Be interested one. So let's say it's something like, because it's the other side of the room, but the merchandise box that we got from CitizenCon, I've got over there. It's right there in the glass cabinet though, and it opens the wrong way, so I have to get out of my seat. And I'm too lazy, and I'm enjoying my cider too much, so no, I'm not doing that. But it's that sort of stuff. So maybe something like that can help, because obviously, yes, it's physical, so there's a cost involved, but they always charge it enough to be able to sell that. Because I absolutely would be interested if there's something in there that's like really cool. Like I've got the Diablo 4 collector's box. I've got a whole bunch of like collector's item stuff. I got the Starfield Constellation Edition. Don't I feel like a mug for doing that? But I've got the smartwatch and stuff. In fact, the Starfield Constellation smartwatch, it's on charge over there on a USB hub. So yeah, so all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so here we go. The average player looks for the new shiny stuff of features and mechanics to hype them up, which causes their wallets to open. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but gamers are a fickle lot. There's a note that I wrote down. I'm just seeing if I've got 2 piles of books next to me. No, I took it downstairs. I made a note, and one of the things that they said, which was really interesting, is one of the CEOs said that the stability and playability increases the hunger for new features, and I think he's 100% right with that. I quoted it correctly in the video. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is because, like I said, the notepad's downstairs. But yeah, it's really interesting that that's the way they look at it, because I think they're right. If they can get the game working reliably, if we can go to outposts and the bad guys spawn and they run round on the nav mesh like they're supposed to, and loot respawns every time, and the game cleans itself up a little bit, and all that sort of stuff. If they can get that working, and server reliability gets better, and we can log in and we don't have the login queues and X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. I think we're going to be in a, I would enjoy the game very much as it is. Now, there's a caveat to that, which is people who enjoy FPS, ship-to-ship combat, mining, salvage, cargo hauling are going to be very happy. The people who want to do exploration or data running or hacking or, you know, any loop that we don't have in are obviously not going to be very happy with that. And I think that's the problem. And that extends to the people who are waiting for multi-crew gameplay to get better, because ship armor is part of that. Engineering is part of that. You know, all of those features that are supposed to come in and piece by piece level the playing field between big ships and light fighters and fighters, basically, are all new features that we're going to have to wait for. So that. So going back up then, let's stop that poll for just a second. End poll. And then we'll come to that in a second. So that was a new poll. So Wojciech says, "I'm so happy. I have more energy." Oh, we're back to the energy drink. Sorry, I'm still gonna go down and try and catch the rest of it. Marlax says, "What if eventually they add old events as recorded history training you can replay? That would be really cool." I think that's kind of what Theatres of War was supposed to be, right? And I wouldn't mind betting that. It's not that I would bet. I would not be surprised, to put it that way, if Theatres of War became a thing just before Squadron 42 got released, as a way of demoing what Star Citizen's going to be, at least on the combat front, to people coming across from Squadron 42. And Theatres of War is almost like your, hey, if you buy Squadron 42, you get Theatres of War, which is a permanent mode that we're going to update and we're going to keep playing, but it's like your taster into, it's like the it's like the freebie given to people to get them hooked and then get them paying. I wouldn't mind betting that it does that. I am so dead after this. YouTube's just going to be like, come here, we want a word. But yeah. Black tea has the highest caffeine content for tea and can have well over 100 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. Luna Maria, that's dangerous information. I am now going to drink black tea and get off my what's-it. Didn't Benoit say that ship team is excluded from the bug fixing process? I can't remember if he said that. I mean, it's 3 hours, so there's a bit at the end that I just kind of skipped because it was talking about specific bugs, and I wanted to get it done for the video ready on Friday, and I was right up against it anyway. So if he'd said it in that, then yes, I've missed it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind betting. Ship team have so many ships in the Black Window preview for this year, they don't have time for Gold Standard. Yeah, and the thing is, Gold Standard's like something else that needs to be talked about. As people talk about Gold Standard is fleeting. The minute they bring one more thing in, right? The lights in ships that you can switch on and off, you can, go primary, dimmed, or emergency, they invalidated some Gold Standards because some ships didn't have them. That's all that Gold Standard is. Gold Standard is everything what you have in a ship. If the ship has it, it's implemented on that ship. The minute you bring something else in that ship doesn't have, it's no longer at Gold Standard. So Gold Standard's just going to keep getting replaced until they've got all this stuff in. Ship armor and what's the system about things breaking apart? Someone remind me. That Maelstrom, thank you. The Maelstrom system. Stuff isn't at Gold Standard. The minute that comes in, when they don't break apart and they're not implemented in that system, they're no longer at Gold Standard. Full stop. The end. So Gold Standard's a bit of a kind of like it's a, I forget what they call it. It's a golden something. It's just something that basically tempts people and is never really a reward. Castless Destiny says, honestly, what I think would get the most positive reaction would be if they had the ship team focus 100% on the backlog ships, go those out with their increased prices and all. Well, that's interestingly something that they did cover, right? And first off, I completely understand everyone wanting to get the backlog done. Agree, 100%. The other bit that they said was one of the things that was contributing to problems was implementing ships whose gameplay wasn't in yet. And that's why they're waiting off on a load of things. I mean, none of this explains why the holes... I get it with the whole D&E, but why the whole B isn't implemented, don't know. Right? Because everything that needs for the whole B is in that. And I know people are having problems with docking, but they've obviously sorted some of that out because the Polaris I've had dock every single time. The only issue I have with the Polaris when it's docked is that sometimes the station realizes it's docked and sometimes it's not, and it comes up as destroyed when I come to get it back. That's it. And I get a feeling that's not a problem with docking per se. That's just the game being the game. So yeah, I think I I think it's very likely that they'll stick with this idea of we don't release a ship until its associated gameplay feature is done. Which raises an interesting point as we're talking there, Catalyst, which is, does that mean now we're going to have lots more ships for the gameplay that we already have? Is that why we have the Mist Fortune? Because if they're not going to bring the ships in until the associated gameplay feature is done, or does that mean we're just going to see a massive increase in concept sales? Don't know. Don't know. I think they've already kind of started to pave the way with, what do they call it? Alternative ships, competitor ships at the same. So maybe we're just going to get more of that. I don't know. Maybe the next thing will be an Argo salvage ship or I don't know, something. Yeah. But yeah. I would be interested if it came with some cool extras, like a model Idris midships on the pole, which is 60% yes for the physical limited edition, 40% no out of 20 votes. So completely understand that. However, I'm a massive limited edition whore, as you can tell from all the limited edition stuff that I keep pulling out of everywhere. So yeah, I can't help it, I'm afraid. They would have me hook, line and sinker, unless it was really bad. Hack says, I'm just wondering where the major changes for Savage will come in. The promised mining missions they spoke of. It's gameplay related, so I'm so bored with Tier 0 stuff. Yeah, good question. I mean, the Tier 0 stuff, it's interesting whether they mean missions that do something else or require new locations, or whether they're just talking about larger contracts. Don't know. Genuinely don't know. So yeah. I got Squadron 42 digital, so not really, says Matthew. I've just seen the no data thing pop up again. So let me know if I suddenly go, let me know and I'll do my best to fix it. But I don't know. It says. Loss of audio, apparently. Can you still hear me all right? I hope you can still hear me all right. It's still registering and all that sort of stuff. Let me know if you can't hear you. You can hear me fine. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Hello to a couple of the new people in. User 3571, welcome in. And everyone else that I've missed. Sorry, I didn't see you there. You stuck in through the back door, you monster. But yeah. Okay, cool. I'm just going to stop reading the error messages because they're freaking me out. So let me know, and I'll be back with you. So yeah. Physical copy, if it has something like maybe the Saber Raven, yeah, it won't be the Saber Raven. We're pretty sure that they're locked with Intel when they did the Octane drive, but maybe something like that. If it was signed by Mr. Cavill and Co, says Teapot, don't know if we're going to get one of those. But I would love to, but yeah, we'll see. Wooter says, my question is ship related. Do you think we'll get the Idris F8A and Javelin once Squadron 42 is out? If I remember, they said you can unlock F8A through playing through the game. So yeah, I think it's the F8C you'll unlock. So you will get the F8 if you do what's required in game. So it's not a case of complete F8, complete Star Citizen, get the F8. It is a case of do whatever achievement or accomplishment is required in the game, have the ability to buy the F8C in game, which is interesting given what they've said about warranties and insurance claims. Maybe we'll need to warranty it. Maybe doing it that way, you'll get some insurance on it. I don't know. Buying it in game, but it sounds like, it's not necessarily going to be the case. That you'll have to earn a warranty in game and then put that on there, which let's face it, the warranty for, if that was me, the warranty for completing the main story arc, the kind of like tour bus system they talked about, is probably going to go straight on the F8, if that's the case. But yeah. Good. Let's have a look. I've completely lost it now. I'm scrolling around. I keep scrolling to the bottom because it keeps coming up with error warnings. And I'm really worried that it's going to go... no. Let's have a look. Just going to see if I can fix this. Output audio bitrate. Let's up the audio bitrate, shall we? 160. Apply. Hopefully that fixes it. But we'll see. Yes. So yeah, the Idris, they said they're not going to release. I don't see why not now with big ships like Polaris. I don't see why the Idris wouldn't come very shortly after Squadron 42, if not at pretty much the same time, right? They might just give people a little bit of time to complete Squadron 42 first. But yeah. So yeah. User 3571. Sorry I've taken so long to get your question. I'm playing catch up at the minute. I have a stupid question about SC and multicore. Is it possible to execute a mission with multiple players, like sharing the mission? How it works? Pride is divided. So yes, so with with multi-crew missions, with multi-crew ships, there are some missions you can share amongst you, like bounties and that, and you'll all get a share of the rep and the money. Some of the missions, like the one we're doing at the minute, the fight for Pyro, no, you can't. You don't get to share the mission. So people can be on the ship with you, and they can do the stuff with you. They just don't get the reward for it. So it's up to you to kind of give them a little bit of money from the cut if you want to, or maybe they just happen to be playing the game. It's that. I think stability in events like Old Jumptown will happen. I think stability and events like Old Jumptown happen. People will play. The Worm fight, for example, the Valakar, hostile animals and player PvP will. Yeah, I mean, I don't see because the dynamic events aren't new features. So things like Jumptown, Blockade Runner, Siege of Orison, those things are just going to be... they're just going to cycle through as normal. I can't wait to do Siege. Once things stabilise out, I can't wait to do Siege again. That's going to be good fun. Yeah. So that's that. Add theatres along with Arena Commander and Squadron 42. Yeah, it's all that kind of tempting people over, isn't it? That sort of stuff. So yeah, Dark Matter, if they stop focusing on combat and focus on the industry before adding missions and narrative at all, because not having economic cycles is really what's going to screw them due to balance. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So we'll see. I'm moving your stream to another room, Badger. Don't say anything interesting for a couple of minutes while I do it. Well, there was an interesting video I saw that says that what's his face, Tony Zurovic, is now a game director emeritus, which means that he is he's not a game director anymore. It's like a retired position, which is interesting. And I can show you that now if you like. So if someone wants to Google emeritus and then, put the description in the chat so we can have a look. But let's see if we can just jump across. Let's see if it works. There we go. It does. Yeah. So you can see here, Tony Zurovic, game director emeritus, which is effectively he's retired. So it's interesting. No information yet as to what's going on there. Apparently, all of his socials and stuff still say that he's working for the company. So God knows what's going on there. I don't know whether that's someone's used the wrong word. Don't know. But yeah, it's not an ideal thing to read, because I'm really a big fan of Tony Z. I think his work on Quanta's incredible, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, there's that. Hello. Tech, yeah. I mean, I don't know what that means, and that's it. We haven't had anything confirmed. Everything from his LinkedIn and everything still says he's working for the company. We don't know, but it has been raised, and I wouldn't be doing my job here in front of you guys if I didn't at least say that I'd seen it. And there's been no confirmation or denial from CIG, so don't know. I'm really hoping that he's staying because he's got some really, really nice thoughts about how to do economy, and I hope they keep him. That guy's big brain. So I think I can see CIG marketing pushing for limited editions of Squadron 42, coupling with an FC ship with limited colour or equipment for a very high price, of course. Yeah, I mean, I hope that they kind of do it in its own thing as well. So I hope it's just for the people who don't want to do, or maybe can't do online stuff like that. You know, I and people go, oh, honestly, who's that? Well, Forces people for a start. You load up a game laptop with games, you put it into offline mode, you play games wherever you get deployed that doesn't have a reliable internet connection, or doesn't allow you to have a reliable internet connection for OPSEC reasons. I was one of those people for a long old time. Diablo 3 really hacked me off to find out that you needed to be connected all the time because it was like, but I'm on ship in the middle of the ocean in a steel box. I don't have broadband. What are you talking about? So yeah, I haven't had any issues docking, says Walter. I do have a few just rebinding the docking key, and that works. Badges, do you think the Apollo will come out with drones? I really hope so, Matthew. I don't think it will. I'd love to be. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but at the moment, I'm expecting it not to. And I know that's probably not the answer you're hoping for, but that's where I think we are with it. You can say the same about the Paladin. It's nothing new at all, just another gunship with a big turret. Even the Sword Hornet Mark II Heartseeker is also nothing new, but it's also being pushed out soon. Yeah, I think those... I don't have any problems with those ships. It's not because there's nothing in their gameplay that isn't in, right? You talk about something like the Genesis or the E1 Spirit, like their stuff, taking NPCs or passengers from A to B, that's a new gameplay loop. So we're not going to see that. But yeah. Pushing out more concepts of more of the same is easy for them, but the problem is it's diluting an already huge pool of incomplete ships. Yeah, 100%. But, you know, in terms of a concept sale on the base building module for the Galaxy, for example. Because we know it's going to get it, it just doesn't have it right now. So that sort of stuff could happen. Very much so. The grav cart, the base building grav cart, that they actually had a working prototype of when they showed the presentations and stuff. I'm just going to show off my t-shirt because it's still my favourite t-shirt. Yes, and before anyone asks, yes, I did wash it between the last video and now. I've been very good being an adult and cleaning everything before anyone starts down that road. We already have competitor ships with the Cutty versus the Freelancer. Yeah, so, you know, competitive industrial ships. Large reclaim, you know, reclaim equivalent, expanse equivalent, medium refinery ship, large refinery ship, all those sorts of things. Dedicated. I suppose the Galaxy could be, because it's multi-role, it's not dedicated. There's arguably space in the market there. There's plenty of places they can put ships in. I know several people who would throw their wallets at CIG for an Argo starter mining salvage ship. That. Worst limited edition I ever bought was Fallout 76. I'm not speaking about the canvas bag. More the game just sucked. They didn't have a proper in-game chat. Yeah, I got really upset because I've got both of the... I've got Total War 1 and Total War 2 limited edition sets. And Total War 1 is a dwarven drinking horn, and it's like the Great Book of Grudges. Total War 2 was it's all around the Lizardman. And then when they bought Total War 3 out, I was like, finally, I'm going to have like the complete set, because nothing is going to stop me ordering it. Other than what they did, which is they didn't release one. They were like, lockdown, pandemic, we're not going to do it. It was like, just not a happy badges. Not a happy badges at all. So yeah. The Fortune could have been super interesting if it was a slightly bigger two-person salvager, instead of just a why does this exist when the Vulture does. Yeah, it's going to be competitor ships, right? And I think that's the point that Shady Phase says, which is the Some people will just want that look at that style of ship. So it'll be, I want that but MISC, I want that but RSI, I want that but Asperia. And I can't say I disagree. So yeah. The Paladin was to appease the Redeemer babies after it got nerfed into being an anti-fighter ship like it was supposed to be. I'm not getting into the Redeemer. We've talked about the Redeemer so many times, but you know, the Redeemer's got the dropship element. The Paladin doesn't. They're not. It's apples and oranges again. Well, apples and crab apples. Yeah. So people want a two-person salvage ship that's something in between a Vulture and the huge Reclaimer. Yeah, a medium salvage ship, 100%. You know, the Redeemer always looks stupid with side 5 guns on its small side. Yeah, 100%. Soriak, yeah, no worries. Yeah, sneak in the back. Absolutely. The Redeemer has always looked stupid full stop, says Judomo. I mean, this is getting salty about the Redeemer, one way or the other. Question next week, ISC, will be at item insurance. Do you think we might get an actual basic crafting system where we can make the items? I'm not speaking of tiers yet, just like make the handgun. I doubt it. That's not part of insurance. As much as we want it to be, it's not, right? I'm hoping what they're talking about there is the unique item reclaim for subscriber stuff. Because there's loads of people who've got loads of subscriber items and don't want to take it out because they're worried about having it nicked. Someone's going to go, wait, that's a subscriber, bang, mine, and run away. Not that I've ever done that before. Yeah. Avi says, I took it as his semi-retired consultant thing, like call up the guy who builds on the system when you need help, but he's not in the day-to-day. Yeah, this is the Tony Zurevich stuff again. So yeah, I hope that's what it is. Whether he's put it on there because maybe people are trying to poach him and he's like, no, I just want to finish this out and then that's it, I'm done. That's where I'm hoping it's going. Or someone's just used the wrong word. That would be kind of funny. Not entirely out of sync for CIG. But yeah, that would be the best outcome, I think. Midship says, I still know to try the Total War series. I've heard nothing but glowing recommendations. Yep, 100%. With the Legionnaire maybe coming out this year, do you expect hacking data to come online with it as such? Well, that's the question now. Is with the Legionnaire slated to come out this year, but that was before the statement about stability, not new features. Stability over new features, not new features, over new features. So it may be if it was, but I think we'll likely get resource networks before we get that. So yeah, I think to get resource networks and engineering this year is probably as good as we're going to get on that front. I'm always happy to be, proved wrong, especially when I'm predicting that we're not going to get a lot of new features in a year. But it's really interesting. It's kind of interesting how we ended up here, right? This time last year, we were talking about the origins of 323. We were talking about how much stuff that they'd shown at CitizenCon was coming in, and oh my god, how we now all hope that this is going to be the signal of an increased pace of development. It's not what's happening now, is it? Which is kind of the thing. I think, I'm very much happy that the game's going to be stable and play it, and people are going to come in and have a positive experience. Like, okay, there's not a lot here yet, but it's going to fill up and it's going to be incredible. But I just can't be happy. I can be okay with, but I can't be happy with the fact that the rate of new features, therefore completion and the realization of the game that we've all bought into, is now getting further away, not closer. And I think that's kind of my feel about it. Is it's the right decision, I think, but it's not a fun place to be in as far as, being a backer of the game who just wants to bloody play it at the end of the day. So that's that. So Yeah, I think that everything that was intended for this year got delayed a good bit, 100%. And I think we can see that, right? Because there's no roadmap now past 4.0, apart from one, but obviously one. There's nothing past that. It just doesn't. It's not there unless I missed it. Unless it came out in the last day, unless it came out on Friday afternoon, which I don't think it did. But yeah, we'll see. This time last year, Jodomo said, "I bet I still won't get my Idris," and this year it's the same. Well, I mean, at least we know, we know it's not going to be before Squadron 42, right? So that's what we're waiting for. Well, that was the interesting thing, Wooter, is they actually said that we're going to get something. It's going to be yet another roadmap, but they're not calling it a roadmap. So I'll see if I can find that so we can have a quick look and just see the bit that I'm talking about. Because I think I've got the timing down in here as well. I do. I have my little scribble pad for timings when I'm making videos now. I'm trying to streamline my process and get more videos out, and we've had videos for the last couple of weeks and some shorts. I'm doing very well, but yeah. So I'm just going to go find that bit and then play it all for you so you can see what the bit that I'm talking about. But he actually says out loud the so where are we? New schedule. All right, I just can't quite see. Okay. So I'm just going to jump us across and we can have a look. So this is what they say.
It also means a new content and gameplay delivery schedule intricately tied to the introduction of new ongoing story narratives for the persistent universe that allow you as players to reshape the galaxy around you, beginning with 401.
Yeah. So that's that. I'll just play that again.
It also means a new content and gameplay delivery schedule intricately tied to the introduction of new ongoing story narratives for the persistent universe that allow
Gameplay and delivery schedule. That also is going to show not just new features, but this content that they're talking about adding and all that sort of stuff is going to be in there as well. So yeah, there's that. Patch notes will be the roadmap. If Tony Z's profile was edited by CIG in line with the game, it would say game director, location name. Yeah, Matt, you're not wrong, fella. You're not wrong, shippers. That's exactly what that is. I'm going to jump us back across now. I can't make when you're right, you're right. Do you know what I mean? Dude, spitting facts over here. Sangrupa, good to see you, buddy. Welcome in. You've caught me for about the last 9 minutes, but yes, welcome in. Good to see you. I can't believe it's not a roadmap too, says Tech20. Yeah, 100%. Shut up, Can. Rather amusing to think we might get season passes for SC. No, that was So that's I don't know where that's come from. Maybe that's my comment from earlier, but yeah, that was the joke, right? Is that people if it's something good about SC, people are like, nah, pinch of salt. If it's something bad about SC, it's like default, believe it, just accept it for what it is. And that was my example. If they turn around and said, season pass for Star Citizen, people would be like, oh, CIG losing mind, CI greed, meh, meh, meh. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, good to see everyone, and good to have you in. Yeah, so luckily enough, Shady Face says, in my opinion, we'll get engineering and resource network this year, but we shouldn't expect any other features within this year. If something else does drop, it's a bonus, yay. This, right? And I think this is the bit that I'm going to kind of I'm going to end up banging on about this. I'm going to put it in a short so I can just play it. I can add it and just be like, that pops up, and then I don't have to say it. You know, like some of the streamers have a button, and they just hit the button when someone says something obvious. But it's this, is that, you know, everything in production, everything in developing a game. I can't have Jared look at me like that anymore. That's just creepy. Go away, Jared. Stop it. But there is this kind of oh, this is going to fix everything and everything's going to be an upward trend, and that's not the case. Everything in game production is a trade-off. More stability, yes. Slower features, yes. Faster features, yes. Less stability, yes. Those are the two options. One or the other. Or what they've been trying to do at the minute and achieving nothing is this balancing act between the two, which is what forced them to revisit what Chris said in 2018, which is we're going to focus on stability and actually focus on stability. What I really liked, they had this phrase. They talked about the go, no, go meetings, which they said just turned into go, go, go meetings, which I thought that was that's quite a self-aware thing to say, that you had this whole process that was supposed to do the if it's not ready, it doesn't go in, and just turned into go, get it in, don't care, just do it, make it happen. I think that's quite a self-aware thing from CIG to say. So yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be that. But yeah, as Amidship is saying, you know, we got the damage control stuff coming, the fire and all that got kicked out of the roadmap a while ago from 4.0. You know, fires and the room systems of being able to flush fire into space and fire extinguishers and all that sort of stuff, which is going to really start to change things and make things a lot more impressive and scary. Fires in confined spaces, just not fun. Generally not good. But that, you know, shutting down the life support to starve the, you know, with everyone got helmets on, to starve a fire of oxygen and just let it burn and then gradually cool is not a bad way to go at all. But yeah, would love the transit rework and the new grouping tools chat that they spoke of. Then I'll be happy. So yeah, I mean the grouping and tools, they're new features. The transit rework, the mission system refactor, there's all part of the stability, because whilst they talk about refactor and rework, or refactor certainly, they're things that are already in the game and required to make things that we've had for a while run. So I think those things are absolutely things that we can expect to see over this year. And I mean, that's a nice way to segue into this. Elevators, much better. Persistent hangars, much better. Transit system, much better. Missions registering, stuff actually being there, loot spawning in when it needs to spawn in, respawning when someone's done in an area and a new group come in, all that sort of stuff. I think they are going to, by the end of this year, I think we're going to see improvements on all of it, even if it's not inventory. 100% Teapot. Inventory stuff as well. Those things I think are where they're going to focus on. And I also like this idea of them taking like a senior designer or developer on that and then bringing in the newer guys into that as well and doing the whole, you know, teaching them. So you have like the engineer responsible and then like the apprentice coming in like, but yes, my apprentice. But bringing them in and getting them practice on it. So when one's away or on leave or one leaves, you've got someone else who also knows that system. And it's basically what they said about ATC, is that ATC stopped because the people who knew it left. So they just removed the whole thing. Just like, nope, yeet. So yeah. How about physics? So I can set something now that doesn't jump all over the place. It's just me chill. Yeah, absolutely. You know, all of these things, I think, I'm not saying they're going to be fixed by the end of the year, but I think they're all going to get better because they're going to stop mucking around with the other stuff and just get things better. And then, you know, I've seen the comment made a load of times is once that's happening, hopefully it'll be much easier when they do put something new in, like the ARSA at the minute, the medical ARSA. It's just me. I think we've seen that just sit there and bounce. We tried to put it in the Polaris and it was just like, get that out because that's going to make everything explode. So it completely, yeah, know the thing you're talking about. Hopefully that'll be that. And then when they bring something new in and go, wait, why is this bouncing? Because everything else is stable. So let's look, oh, that's what the problem is, and then they go fix it. It's that much shorter process than reality, obviously, rather than just be able to go, oh, I know what it is, fixed. I just hope that marketing doesn't get the Golden Joker card this year. Oh, yeah, so, I mean, I get what you mean, Wooter, 100%, and I know this isn't what you're saying, but obviously that's not what the Joker card is. It's the Joker card saying everyone needs to help these people, and marketing, you know. We can only hope that Squadron 42 is going to be that. I think that was the one frustrating thing I found about that video that they released a couple of days ago, is that they talked about how the split would work between Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, and they said a lot of things and didn't say anything at all. There were a lot of words that made me no wiser about how that was actually going to work than before that question was asked. And that worries me, because that normally indicates that, or it indicates to me one of two things: they don't know, or because they haven't thought about it, because it's not a clear process, whatever else, or the answer is something that they don't want the backers to hear, which is Squadron 40 or Star Citizen's out the window whenever Squadron 42 needs help, which is just as likely, I think. So yeah, we'll see. It's bouncing because they never fixed the glaive properly, says Judomo. It's an odd take, but yeah, sure, I'll buy it. Having ships and vehicles with mass would be good news too, says Soriak. Yep. So mass might be a new feature from that point of view, I think. Because I think at the moment everything behaves as if it's full, if I remember rightly. If it's max mass. But there's still a lot of legacy code that needs to get ripped out and replaced with shady phase. Yeah, that code, like hygiene, the code clarity, that sort of stuff as well, is very much important to them being able to, fix things, get things implemented easier, quicker, cleaner. All of that stuff is going to be vital. And we can only hope that that gets better. Same fault, different chip, says Jadoma. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think I think when we sit down for the last stream of the year, before Christmas, when we sit down for that together, I'm really hoping that we talk about. Do you remember that chat we had at the beginning of the year? The game is better. The game is more stable. It's still as incomplete as it was in terms of the features that we're waiting on and that sort of stuff. But everything works reliably now. I think if this will change things with this change, then I'm for it. Since it's just me, I'm glad, and I think that's the same for a lot of us in here. And I think what this patch has shown all of us, even the diehards like me, who will like just get the features in because it's going to break stuff anyway, stability will be fleeting. This has shown that can't continue. That things need to be more stable. Two things basically remain to be seen. One, do they actually do it? And I can't tell you because I don't work for them. I'm just sat in here like you guys as an enthusiast who really likes the game, who wants to build a community around me of people who really enjoy it. You guys. And if you want to be part of that community, you know where the subscribe button is. If you're not already, you know where the Discord link is. It's in the description. If you're not already, we play games every Friday night. I stream on every Sunday. And we might even get some gameplay games or gameplay streams in as well as an extra. But we'll see. I'm really hoping that that's where we end up. That we end up with a game that's more stable. That we're all willing to play. And we'll go, do you know what? It's no further on. But I'm really enjoying it because I think I do. When it's running right, I have so much fun. Especially with a group of people, which goes back to the community thing. If you don't have a community of people to play this with, DGP is your community. If you'll have us. That's the whole point this exists, is to give people who don't have a community to play games at home. And yes, I do this about Star Citizen, but we play all sorts of stuff. We play all sorts of nonsense. And you'd be more than welcome. So yeah, with the servers being more stable, they aren't crashing as often, which allows bugs to propagate and persist longer. So we can find those bugs, or they can find those bugs, so they can crush them, and we can get further with that. But yeah. So yes, guys, again, my apologies for a really, really rough start to the stream with all the problems that I've had, camera not working, and then the stream just not happening. But it has been an absolute pleasure to have you. If you're still here, RN1441, thank you very much again for the super chats. Very much appreciated. And to everyone, thank you for being here. Really good fun. I'm feeling really good about the channel and everything else that's going on at the minute. We've got videos coming out. We've got shorts coming out. Everything is trending upward. Just like Star Citizen, I hope things are just going to get better from here. And I'm really glad you guys are along for the ride to do that with me. So, the ever famous sign off. You've been watching Jenkins with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by.